Hey there, Mr. Redder here. Welcome back to another episode of Reddit Podcast Stories, where today, my wife is demanding to cheat on me and I don't know what to do. My wife and I have been married since 2001 and together since 1999. She's the most intelligent, thoughtful, caring, loyal person I know, and I've always thought of myself as fortunate to have met and married her. She is, even today, aesthetically beautiful, and men have told her this throughout our marriage. She has always shot them down. Earlier this year, she was diagnosed with uterine cancer, stage 1, and had a full hysterectomy. I was never concerned about the cancer. It was diagnosed early, dealt with quickly, and she made a full recovery. I took time off work to look after her after the surgery, and everything seemed well. There were some to be expected emotional distances on her part, and although I'm not an emotional person, we dealt with them together. After her recovery, she was insistent that we start living life to the fullest and took a 10-day trip to Europe, followed by a trip to Belize. We also have a trip to the UK and Spain and Portugal later this year. I'm fine with these things, building memories and crossing bucket list adventures off her list. I also understand that these are a result of feeling fragile on her part. She also took up yoga, swimming, and healthy cooking classes. I was fully on board until last week. Last week, she came home from work and told me she wanted a hall pass, a one-time opportunity to hook up with someone else besides me. She said that since her cancer diagnosis, her outlook on life has changed, and she doesn't want to be handcuffed from doing things she wants to do. She explained that there's this guy at work that she has always had some attraction to. He's leaving the company, and she will never see him again, so this is the perfect opportunity to hook up with him. She said that I could say no, of course, but that she would be mad and disappointed at me for an indeterminate amount of time, and that it would be confirmation of my male toxicity and insecurity. I don't consider myself to be toxic, and if not wanting your wife of 20 plus years to hook up with someone else is insecure, then I guess I am insecure. I told her that I appreciated her talking to me about this, but approval via coercion is not approval. I also said that I do not appreciate her language in describing my, as of yet, unknown reaction to this very large issue that could affect the rest of our marriage and life. I got up in the morning, and she basically said that she was sorry for putting such a large decision solely on my shoulders, and that to help, she was taking the decision away from me. She booked a hotel near where her coworkers are having a party and send-off for this guy, and she would spend the night there, with him, and hoped that I would be here when she got back. That she would answer any questions I have about the night after it happened, but not before. She will not tell me who he is or anything about him, because she knows me too well, and that I will dwell and obsess over him. And that would make it too real for me, which is pretty accurate. Her point of view is that the less I know, the better, which contradicts the offer to tell me anything I want to know after it happened. I know she knows I won't want to know or ask anything, or she simply will not tell me. Part of me thinks at least she has been honest with me, and she's been through a lot since finding out she had cancer, so maybe I should just let it happen. I certainly have no concept of what she went through, so I can't dismiss how this affected her mental state and outlook on life. Part of me wants to put my foot down and say this is not going to happen and deal with those consequences when they happen. Her BFF called me callous for even suggesting that I wouldn't let it happen because I have no idea what she went through. I find it hard to believe that she's okay with the possibility of throwing away 20 plus years of marriage over some guy that she has no real relationship with outside of work, and that I should just call her bluff. Maybe she thinks similarly that I won't throw away the marriage because of one encounter. I just don't know what to do. I empathize with her, and then an instant later I'm angry with her. Part of me wants to know who this guy is. What does he look like? What has he got that is so enthralling for her? Is he just a safe option? Is he married? Does his wife know? Would I be a callous jerk for saying no? What can I do besides walking away? Kinda think this is the way your marriage will be from now on. With her epiphany, she wants to relive her life, and she's going to do it regardless of your feelings. I think she's being selfish and probably only threatens this because she thinks you are beaten down and will simply put up with it. Perhaps not the best time for trips and frills. She wants the single life. Let her see what that means. OP. She thinks because she'll never see this guy again and that I've never met him, supposedly, that it won't really affect me or our marriage in the long term. I'm left with accepting it and never viewing her the same way again or going through a divorce at 54. Not really great options on either front. I don't know where her head is, and the bout with cancer is affecting her in ways that I couldn't possibly imagine. I don't think she believes I will leave. Update. I was hoping that my opposition to her plans would give her pause, but unfortunately that did not happen. I said I'm a hard no, and I'm not sure how I will feel about you if you go ahead with it. I was met once again with, "This is for me. It will be one time. What can I say to help you deal with it? You'll get over it. We were meant to be regardless of the situation." She kept saying all of this leading up to Saturday. She left Saturday, ostensibly to meet her coworkers, but in reality to hook up with the guy. I asked her to text me when she was leaving for the bar, and when she did, I asked her if she was really going to go through with this. After her response, "I'm not answering any more questions tonight. I'll see you tomorrow." I blocked my wife. Then I did something either stupid or brilliant. I went to the bar where the get-together was happening. Well, not the bar, but a transit bench across the street. I waited for a long time. It was running through my mind leading up to this event that I need to know who the guy was, maybe to compare myself against him, to see what he had that I don't. It was driving me crazy not knowing who he was and what was so special about him that she would ruin a marriage for. After what seemed like an eternity, a woman that I recognized from my wife's office left the bar and got in a cab. Soon, other people started filing out, and a whole group came out, and people were hugging a man and shaking his hand. I assumed I had my guy. I didn't see my wife and had a brief thought that maybe she called it off. I unblocked her, and there were no messages. Everyone said their goodbyes and left. Dude was standing outside for a few minutes, and then my wife came out. She looked around, took his hand, and started walking away together. Of all the emotions I went through, trepidation, sadness, anger, it was disgust that really encapsulated the event for me. This guy was short, fat, and bald, all the things I cannot compete with. Ultimately, I felt like a creep for watching from a distance. I followed until they got to the hotel and then turned around and went home. I woke up Sunday morning and put a lock on my master bedroom door. I moved her things to the spare room and left a note asking her to find other accommodations as quickly as possible. I visited another friend who's a lawyer, and he gave me some sage advice and a couple of recommendations for divorce attorneys and made the introductions. My wife had been calling me numerous times since around 11 or so. Once blocked, the calls go to voicemail. I listened to the first couple, but felt nothing but some satisfaction when she couldn't get through to me, and she was obviously becoming concerned. I didn't want to go home, but I left in such a hurry that I didn't plan an overnight properly. I got home around 9, and as per my buddy's advice, I recorded the interaction. I was halfway up the stairs when she came up from the family room asking what was going on. Could we talk? I thought we talked about this. I just answered with "I'm not interested in discussing this tonight" and went to bed. After not getting a response from me through the door, she left me alone. I feel kind of like a kid for not talking with her and shutting the door on her, but I just couldn't look at her. Monday, I got up and got ready for work. She was waiting for me and asked if we could discuss going back to normal. I said, "You've been doing all the talking for the both of us for the past week. Why don't you continue?" And I left for work. I have an appointment with the attorneys my friend recommended for this week. The casual disregard for a life partner of 20 years is shocking. "I'm going to do this thing to betray you. I look forward to you getting over it." That's not a relationship. That's not mutual respect and caring and understanding. Cancer sucks. There's no better way to put it, but it doesn't give you a pass to disregard the people in your life. Show of hands, who believes the soon-to-be ex-wife is going to regret her hall pass with the guy from the office when she finds out how much better life was with OP? Her friends sound awful too, who encouraged her to do it, to toss 20 years of marriage down the drain. This is one of the most infuriating posts I've ever read. Firstly, what was she thinking? How on earth did she think a unilateral decision to cheat on her husband and go on to lecture him on how he's being toxic about it would work out? She got what she wanted. I hope she's okay with the inevitable price. I guess she thought that she had him over a barrel. Am I the jerk for telling my fiance my daughter has to be in our wedding? I, 45 male, have a daughter, Polly, from a previous relationship. I divorced my ex-wife on good terms and we share 50-50 custody of Polly. She's now 11. After I divorced my ex-wife, I met my now fiance, Sharon. Sharon and my daughter got along very well. After 5 years in my relationship with Sharon, I proposed. Sharon was super excited and wanted to start planning right away. She looked at venues and started asking her friends to be her bridesmaids. She then told me she wanted her niece to be a flower girl, which I had no problem with, but I said I also wanted Polly to be a flower girl. Sharon looked at me funny, and then she said she didn't think that Polly would fit the part. I got angry and told Sharon that my daughter would be in our wedding. Sharon started to become upset and said that the girls in the wedding were up to her and Polly wouldn't be one of them. I told Sharon that if Polly wasn't in the wedding, then there might not be a wedding. I stormed out and took Polly to get ice cream. Polly knows we're getting married and told me she thinks she will look pretty, whatever dress Sharon decides she should wear. This broke my heart and I decided to text Sharon. I told her I would be staying at a friend's to think this over. My mother-in-law texted me saying that I overreacted and that my daughter doesn't have to be in my wedding and I was a jerk for saying that I would cancel. So did I take this too far by saying I will cancel? Am I overreacting or just being a good dad? Did you propose alternatives to the flower girl position? I said I wanted her in the wedding in some shape or form. I wanted her to be part of our day and not sitting with the guests while we walked down the aisle. Fiancé said it would be best if she just sat with my parents. Many have suggested a junior bridesmaid, but my fiancé still declines. I did tell my fiancé she will be in the wedding, and if that means she has to be a groomsman, then so be it. Fiancé blew up, saying she's not a boy, and my side is only for boys. She denied my request to have a father-daughter dance with Polly, so this is why I'm rethinking the whole wedding. Sharon and I are going to talk tonight, and hopefully she will give me a full reasoning. Has Polly ever said anything about Sharon treating her poorly? Polly has never voiced any concerns about Sharon treating her badly. I've never seen anything happen between them, so this was very out of the blue. Surprisingly, Sharon has never had an issue with Polly until the wedding. The two have always been super close, so her reaction shocked me for sure. I would have never popped the question if Polly wasn't comfortable. I totally understand where you're coming from. I do think it's crazy that I haven't seen any signs. I've talked to Polly and told her to tell me if anything has ever happened. Polly can't recall a single time Sharon was mean to her. Update. Talked to her mom this morning because I wanted Polly to stay with her until this was figured out. Her mom said she hopes it goes well and told me I could stay with her and Polly if need be. She said Polly always comes home with nothing negative to say, so we aren't sure where this came from. Update. I came home to talk to Sharon today. When I pulled in our driveway, my mother-in-law was sitting there in her car. I got out and went inside trying to avoid talking to mother-in-law. Sharon was sitting at the kitchen table and I joined her. She sat in silence, so I asked the first question. Why does Polly not fit the part? And why don't you want her in the wedding at all? Her answer full-on shocked me. She quietly said, I was hoping that after the wedding, you could become a holiday visit-only dad. I didn't want her in the wedding so she wouldn't be in the photos around the house since she wasn't going to be around much. I kept my cool, calmly took her hand and pulled the engagement ring off. Her eyes started to tear up. She said we shouldn't end the marriage over this and that she can change. I told her the damage was already done. I told her I wanted her things moved out by next week and that she should come get them when my daughter wasn't home. The house is in my name and I paid for it. I was allowing her to get her furniture that she paid for. She stormed out and mother-in-law came knocking on my door saying I was being unreasonable. I couldn't imagine only seeing my daughter 3 or 4 times a year. The fact that Sharon wanted me to give up part of my custody blew me away. I'm sitting on my couch just in shock. Our honeymoon was supposed to be in Hawaii. Looks like me and Polly will be going instead. Update. My girlfriend is sad all the time because she misses her ex. We've been dating for around 7 months now. Basically, she still has feelings for her ex, Tom. Now, to my knowledge, she hasn't done anything or talked to him in at least 2 months. Last week, someone mentioned him at her work, and she got really sad. When I asked her what was wrong, she basically told me that she felt unwanted and that nobody loved her, even though I told her how beautiful she is and how much I love her every day. She says it's more the fact that she doesn't like the idea that someone would forget about her so easily. I hug her and tell her that everything's gonna be okay. Fast forward to late last night. She starts getting sad again, and I tell her to be honest and just tell me what's going on. She says that she still misses and has feelings for Tom, and how even though she loves me and wants to marry me, she gets sad because she feels unwanted. She told me she wrote up a text to him looking for closure, but apparently decided not to send it because he might not respond. I told her that she can always talk to me about these things and that I would help her through this. I asked if she needed space, and she said no, that's the last thing she wants. She wants me to be with her while she works through this. I'm feeling really conflicted. I love this girl, but it's so painful to me that after all the time and love I've given her, she's still sad because of her ex. It just hurts knowing that nothing I do will be enough. I feel like I'm pouring my heart into her, but it's just leaking out, if that makes sense. I don't want to leave her, but I feel so empty and sad. Is it really worth working through things with her, even though it hurts me? How do I approach this situation without disrespecting her feelings? Update. After the last post, she asked me if we could take a week apart to figure things out. I asked her if we were breaking up, and she said no, just taking a break and giving each other some space so we can think clearly. Now, in the past, taking breaks has never worked in my previous relationships, but hey, I thought maybe this time she'd see the wrongs of her ways and come back to me more in love than ever. So a day goes by and we're on our break, not really talking. Then all of a sudden, late at night, she asks me if she can come over that night. I ask her why, since we're on a break. She says she misses me. This is at like 1 o'clock in the morning, so I'm sleepy and confused. Okay, I say. I let her come over and she spends the night. Next day, she asks to come over again. I say sure, and she does. At this point, I start getting suspicious for a couple of reasons. One, she had recently shaved, and she has very rarely ever done that with me, and we hadn't even done anything together in like a couple of weeks. I asked her, and she just said, yeah, she shaved after work. Two, she was wearing a bracelet, which I had never seen before. I asked her about it, and she didn't even respond. So now I'm thinking something's up, but maybe it's just my insecurities. Oh well, I slept it off. Next day, together, we go to work. We work in the same building. She sometimes leaves her phone in the car, and she did so this morning. Now this is where I will admit I am in the wrong, but when I was on my break, I went out to our car and looked in her phone. I saw so many messages to her ex, Tom, saying how she wanted him. Those nights she came over to my house late, she was spending the evening with him earlier. Yes, she sent him all kinds of pics. The night before, when I dropped her off at home, I saw she was texting him 30 minutes later telling him to come over. I felt sick to my stomach and my heart was racing. I put the phone down, messaged her on Facebook to never talk to me again, and blocked her on everything, even her number. She then found me in my office and very loudly asked me what was going on in front of my coworkers. I told her we could go outside and talk, and we did. I told her that I saw everything on her phone. She yelled at me, called me crazy, and said, "I can't be with someone so insecure as you," and then stormed off. I avoided her for the rest of the day. Later, at the end of the workday, she came by again, this time smiling and pouting, very softly asking me if we could talk. I said whatever, and we went outside again. First thing she did was threaten to get police involved because I looked through her phone without permission, which she said was a form of breaking and entering. I kinda laughed and said, "Go right ahead if that's what you want." Then she started tearing up and saying, "Why would you do that?" And I asked why she'd send those pics to Tom. She said it was for validation. I asked why she would even be with me if she felt that way about him. She said that she loved me and wanted to marry me and have kids with me. I asked if they had done anything. She said no, but part of me knows she's lying. Anyways, as I'm sitting there listening to all of this, a part of me is wanting to just hug her and hold her and tell her that we're gonna work through this together. But then I realized that the girl I loved was never real. I just loved the idea of her. That this girl sitting in front of me with her fake tears and apologies was just going to lie again. That if I got back with her, it would just enable her further. So at the end of the conversation when she asked, "Are we really done forever? We can't just work through this?" I told her no, and that I was never going to see her or speak to her again. To which she just stood up and said, "If you say so, have a nice life," and walked away. I don't know what to feel right now. Why do I feel like I made a mistake? Why do I want to unblock her and call her and tell her that I love her? I know she's not for me. Everyone at work tells me that she's not for me. My family dislikes her. I don't know. Is there something wrong with me? Why does a part of me feel like I could just forgive her for all of this? If I believed that they didn't hook up, I could look past it as just her making a mistake. I'm just so confused. Edit. So after I got home from work, literally 10 minutes later, my doorbell rings and it's her. I ignore it, but then 20 minutes later, she's ringing it again. So I open the door and she's crying, begging for me back, telling me she'll do anything I ask her to do to make this work, that she loves me and only me and wants to marry me and have kids with me and move far away with me. I asked her if all that was true, why'd she do any of those things that she did? She just cried and said she didn't know, that she's stupid and was looking for validation, that she has abandonment issues from her childhood. Anyways, after we talked, I basically just stood my ground and told her there's no chance of making this work anymore and sent her home. She asked me to unblock her in case of emergency, and I only agreed for the next week or so while this settles down. I'm reading all your comments now. This is all just so crazy to me. How could this girl do this? I can't even fathom talking to someone else while in a relationship, let alone cheating. Edit 2. Okay, I blocked her again, as y'all recommended. But before I did, she had already sent me a few texts. Was I wrong to assume we were getting back together? I mean, we were fine yesterday and last night. If you don't want to be with me anymore, fine. I'll accept that and leave you alone. I have a feeling she'll be showing up at my front door again later. I just hope I have the strength to not open it. Edit. Well, she just left my house. I opened the door after she started knocking again, but I just walked outside and didn't let her in. Well, she just left my house. I opened the door after she started knocking again, but I just walked outside and didn't let her in. I asked why she was here. She asked me, "Why am I the only one being held accountable here? Why aren't you holding yourself accountable for breaking into my phone and invading my privacy?" To which I just said, "I fully know and accept what I did was wrong and I apologize, but that does not lessen what you did in any way." She then said, "If I don't hear from you again, it's probably because something horrible happens to me. Goodbye." And then she got in her car and drove away. What exactly should I do now? Is she just bluffing so I'll call her to make sure she's all right? If, God forbid, something did happen, would it be my fault? Edit 4. This will probably be the last update for a while. Somehow she managed to message me through Instagram and sent me this. "Dear OP, I hope you never give up on us. I'm trying my best to be better. Wait for me. I love you so much it hurts to think I might lose you in the long run." Is she just trying to make me feel bad about all this? Because truthfully, it's starting to get to me. I hope you had cameras when she came over during your break. Do not be alone with her again, for your own safety. Have you ever dealt with someone who treated you like this? If so, what'd you do about it? Please let us know. That girl's got more issues than Nintendo Power. I refuse to tell a customer my name. I'm a service manager at an upscale dining restaurant. Today I had an interaction with a customer that has left me spooked and confused. This young 20-something woman came in to dine with us about less than 20 minutes before closing. Our host welcomed her in, then realized she was holding a small dog. Host: "We do not allow pets in the dining area, but you're welcome to sit in our covered patio or any outdoor seating of your choosing." Lady: "No, she's an ESA and I come here with her all the time, and all the managers let her come in and pet her." The host asks me what to do, and during that time, the lady decides to seat herself in one of our indoor booths. As I was towards the end of my 15-hour shift, I was super tired and drained and hungry, and I had no will to argue with the customer. I told her to just let her sit there. She sat and ate her meal. Her dog was bouncing all over the booths and the tabletop. Health code violation. Not at all trained, as it's a 4-month-old little poodle mix. After she finished her meal, her server brought her over the check, and she asked for a military discount, then proceeded to open a picture from her phone of her dad's military ID. Server: "Sorry, we offer military discount to active or retired members of the military with a valid physical ID." Lady: "This is my family's ID. I use it all the time. I want to speak to your boss." I arrived at the table and reiterated what the server had said because it is in fact our restaurant policy. "I hope you're not insinuating that I'm lying about my family's military status." Me: "I hope there hasn't been any confusion regarding our policies on military discounts. They are only offered to members of the military when they are present." She proceeded to tell me I'm obviously new here and don't know how things work. I'm not new. In fact, I opened the restaurant and I've worked there 5 days a week since then. She said since she's walked in, we have treated her and her dog poorly and that the food was trash and the service and staff was unpleasant. I asked her what was wrong with her meal and if she had shared her concerns with the server, which she hadn't. I offered to make her a new meal to go, but she just refused and threatened to call corporate, at which point I had to chuckle because we are a privately owned business. She asked for mine and everybody's name that was working, and I refused to give her my name because to me, she seemed like a delusional lunatic, and I didn't feel comfortable with her having any of my personal information. Me refusing to share my name and my staff's made her even more upset, and she pulled out her phone and started recording us on it. I personally felt very violated and wanted to literally smack that phone out of her hand, but I need this job, so here I am venting instead. Am I the jerk? Because my manager says I should have owned up in that situation and told her my name and whoever else's that she needed. I feel like that's absurd, and enabling her disgusting behavior is none of my job. ESAs aren't allowed in restaurants, and even if it was a legit service animal, the second they start becoming a disruption, you can legally kick them out. Y'all need to grow some spines. Dogs are not allowed indoors. ESAs are not service animals. Stand up for your coworkers and other customers. Am I the jerk for refusing to stand up for my girlfriend when I felt she purposely started drama with my mother? I've been with my girlfriend for 2 years, and we're talking about getting engaged soon. I love her wholeheartedly and would choose her over my mom in a heartbeat. They don't get along at all, so it's come up plenty of times, and I think I've done a good job of siding with my girlfriend. They just flat out don't like each other, but they also seem to have some rivalry going on. My girlfriend has confided in me that she feels like she can't win. They're both guilty of being competitive, but she feels my mom has a lot of stuff over her. I, of course, don't agree, but it bothers her. My mom is really good at cooking, but her baking is just okay. She can't decorate the cakes at all, and my girlfriend recently discovered this. My mom's fiance had a birthday, and he wanted a banana cake with honey cream cheese frosting. My mom made it, and it wasn't great looking. Tasted good though. My girlfriend made the same cake, but decorated it beautifully and decided to bring it to the party. It was a work of art, but I told her she was just trying to cause problems, and I didn't want her to bring it. She decided to bring it, and I didn't stop her. When we got there, my mom saw her cake and didn't look happy, but she didn't say anything. My mom's fiance just flat out refused to touch my girlfriend's cake. I think he told other guests to do the same because no one would eat it. I took a big piece and I praised it, but she was clearly upset. She went over and tried to pressure him to eat it, and honestly, he was pretty rude. He told her he sees through her. He isn't going to touch her cake, but if it makes her feel better because she found one thing that she's good at, then take the win. He thanked my mom for his cake, kissed her, and then told my girlfriend she was bothering him and to get out of his face. I didn't do anything in the moment. She later asked me to talk to him, and I declined. I said she brought the cake to cause problems, so I think his reaction was okay. She teared up a bit and said that he was really mean and I need to say something. I still refused, and when we left, I said goodbye, thanked them for inviting us, and was just normal. She accused me of being spineless and is still upset. Not the jerk. Your girlfriend was way out of line, and I don't care how rude mom's fiance was to her. He was just exactly perfect in what he did for his love. Your girlfriend does not deserve a win for trying to one-up your mom at her fiance's birthday. She's gross, and I have some ideas about why your mom doesn't like her. Yeah, I mean, the girlfriend is a massive rude jerk here. This is outrageous. Trying to upstage the birthday boy's fiance, the hostess, by bringing in a fancier version of the cake, and even trying to pressure people into eating it, and then acting like she's got any right to feel hurt because people were mean, as in they called her out for how outrageous she was being, instead of embarrassed and mortified because what on earth was she thinking? Not the jerk, OP, but your girlfriend is not right in the head. This goes beyond just being competitive. She was being mind-bogglingly rude and out of line, and it's a giant marinara flag that she doesn't acknowledge just how bad she messed up and how rude she was. It's unhealthy for her to be so obsessed with winning. She's willing to cause scenes and ruin celebrations with this type of intentional being a jerk, and won't even apologize, but will instead get mad at people for not supporting her insane upstaging antics. Not the jerk. Reddit loves to crap on mother and father-in-laws and difficult parents in general, but maybe it's time to have a long, hard look at if your mother's reasons for not liking your girlfriend are valid. If this was your birthday, maybe I'd understand a little more, but your girlfriend tried to show up your mother at her fiance's birthday, and he handled it like a pro. I wouldn't put it past your girlfriend to turn up to your mother's wedding wearing white. This feud isn't going to go away, so before you propose, have a think about if you're really willing to lose your mother over your girlfriend, because after her little stunt, I wouldn't be surprised if they choose to go low or no contact. Am I the jerk for asking my team member where she was when I noticed her away status while she was work from home? My team at work does 4 days work from the office and 1 day work from home. This is because we have sensitive physical paper files to work with as part of our work, so we still have to come into the office. One of my team members, Sarah, had appealed to do 2 days work from the office and 3 days work from home instead, on the basis that she has 2 kids to look after. Although other team members also have kids and Sarah had no problem coming in 5 days a week before lockdown, I relented to the request after she became upset and accused me of being inflexible and started crying in my office, and also checking with the rest of my team to make sure they were okay with it. I've noticed of late that when Sarah is work from home, she has a tendency to go offline or away on Skype during office hours. She's usually offline or away for more than an hour each time. Yesterday, I finally asked her about it and told her that other people, internal clients and external stakeholders, have come to me for work matters she's handling because they could not locate her. One external stakeholder even told me that Sarah was on leave, When I clarified that Sarah was not on leave, the stakeholder was bewildered. "But she's been offline the whole morning." Sarah was defensive and sarcastically apologized for not being there to reply to messages immediately. She then added that as long as she got her work done, it didn't matter when she was online or offline. I told her she didn't have to be online for the entire 9 a.m. to 6 p.m. duration, but minimally from 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. with a break for lunch, so that A, people can reach her if they need to, and B, other team members don't notice and start following her example, particularly since Sarah is senior to the others. Sarah was unhappy, and since then I've come to be aware that she's been saying things about me to the rest of the team, including how I am a dinosaur still working according to former working norms. So, am I the jerk? Edit. The entire division, including Sarah, reports to me. Sarah is salaried, not hourly. Sarah's work is affected by her behavior because part of her job is being available to internal clients and, where applicable, external stakeholders. External stakeholders can see whether Sarah is online or offline because we are all linked in a single public Skype network comprising related agencies, organizations, companies, and ministries. Separately, Sarah's conduct affects me and other team members since we have to respond to queries meant for Sarah, particularly when they are urgent. It also reflects badly on the division as a whole when Sarah is unreachable. Not the jerk. Employees are evaluated on more than work product. There's teamwork, reliability, engagement, etc. Further, business hours do not change because you work from home. Sarah's lack of accessible denotes her failure at teamwork and engagement. People that think like she does are going to be sorely disappointed, outright upset, when they do not get a bonus or promotion or lateral move to a different position. If your coworkers and clients cannot access you during business hours, you're failing at your position. Do this next. Tap here on your screen to come see our new podcast playlist, where you'll find thousands of hours of the best stories you've ever heard. Or tap the one on the right. That episode is specifically just for you, based on other videos you've enjoyed the most.